Hiya folks, well I've been cracking on, as you can see, with the TGB R50X engine. I've actually put most of it back together, so I'll see you in a minute. Right, well, you know what it's like when you get going on something, you just carry on and you carry on. Basically, I've got the crank in now, all the bearings are in, all the seals are in. The crankcases have been put back together with a joint of sealer in between. So I'm at the stage now where we're going to possibly be fitting the barrel, the piston, and all the ancillary stuff basically to go onto the engine. And then this unit can be then put back into the frame. So let's have a little closer look at what we've done. So you may have remembered that when I moved this last time in, I think it was part 4 or part 5 of the video, you could see there was play in the sidewards movement on the crank there, but as you can see now with the new bearings in, the new crank and also the new crank seals in as well, everything's actually lovely there. And coming around the front there, as you can see, turns over an absolute treat and it's absolutely perfect. So I'm well happy with that. The oil pump is in and the oil pump drive is fitted as well through there. I've just got to paint obviously this half of the engine still. Spinning the engine around, you can see the stator has been put back in and also the flywheel as well. I've yet to put back on the variator and stuff like that on this side of the unit, so I'll probably be doing that very, very shortly. And also the reed valve and reed valve assembly that goes back into here. So I'm going to put you on a bit of time lapse now, I think, and start putting this back together. And there's also the starter motor there, as you can see, which I've just given a little light coat of black paint. That was in a terrible state, so that should be working. So that's got to go on as well. That goes down this side around underneath there, right under there. So let's start putting things back together. Right, that's a couple of little bits I've had to spray there, as you probably saw in the time lapse. So one of the things I'm coming up against is because I've had this bike stripped down since 2014 and we're now in 2021 at the time we're filming this. I just stopped work on it, and as a result of that, I'm coming up against little things that need painting, for example. Like the reed valve cover there needed painting. That was ready to be bolted back on. So I had to stop and do that. And also the barrel, as you saw, had a few, although it was new in 2014, and there was a couple of rust marks on it. So I had to sort of treat that. And also the cylinder head, which was in bare metal because I'd sandblasted it. All that needed to be treated with heat treatment paint. And that's what we've just done there. So, yeah, it's going to be a slow process because as I'm coming to put bits together, I didn't do any refurbishment on the parts, so I'm doing that as I go along. So that's where I'm at the moment. I've got to wait for them parts to dry, so we might as well have a little cup of tea. I'll see you in a minute. Right, these have been in for about half an hour now. Let's just click that off there. Pull that down there. And as I say, this is heat treating paint. Let's put the temperature on this. See what that. That's up to about 144. The cylinder head is up to 141. So they're near enough the same temperature. And you really got to cure this heat sensitive paint first of all. So one of these little ovens is ideal for this. And don't forget, don't do this in your normal oven because you do get fumes coming off of this heat resistant paint, and it won't be any good for you because that'll hang about in your food if you're using your food oven. So don't do that. This is a dedicated oven for powder coating and painting and stuff like that. And there we go. So they're nicely coated now, and they've got a nice satin finish, as you can see. So I can continue with the installation once they've cooled down. I'm going to try and get the head and barrel on today, get the piston on, and also get the reed cover on, and hopefully the engine will be ready to put back into the frame. First of all, let me just say Melissa Jones got in contact with me, and she said it was her partner's birthday today, which is the 18th of February, which is Barney Robert Barnett, who's 52 today. So happy birthday to you, Barney, and I hope you got the stickers as well. He likes the channels. In fact, they both watch the channels, so happy birthday to you, bud. Right, okay then, let's get on with it, and let's start putting stuff back together. Right, so I painted the barrel and the head with high temperature paint now. That's all gone off now. And I also painted the aluminium cover for the reed valve assembly. That's done in an engine enamel, the same as the engine. And these were what was stopping me basically putting the bike back together. As you well know, that I stripped this down many, many years ago. And all I've got to go on where things go and what things go, how things go back together, I haven't got a manual for this, is looking at my own videos. So anyway, so that's what we got there. I've got a new base gasket over here in the kit, and a new cylinder head gasket as well. They're only tiny. Look at the size of that. Look. I think this is a 70cc kit apparently, so someone did inform me. Let's have a look, see if it says anything down here. Again, I've had this for many years. Well, I'm not going to be able to understand that, am I? I don't know what language that is, but never mind. Polish, might be Polish. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of that. So we can put the base gasket on. And there we go. I'm not going to put any base sealant on with this, you don't really need it. So that's the base gasket on. These are normally made out of copper. I don't know whether this one is or not, but it's slightly bent in places, but I mean that will flatten off when I put it back on. So, right, okay, so we've got the piston here, and the rings are already on it, and they've got these locating pins on each of the rings there. There's a pin for that one, and slightly off centre from the other one is the other pins. So that just stops these rings rotating in the barrel where the edges could get caught in the actual transfer ports, if you can see them there. So that's the reason why that is. So, right, okay, so we've got that. We've got the tiny little needle bearing, as you can see there. We've got two tiny little clips that hold the gudgeon pin in. And of course we've got the gudgeon pin. It depends where you come from, what you call this. Some people call it a roll pin, I think. But I call it a gudgeon pin, I always have done. And that's that. I'm hoping I can now install these onto the actual con rod. Let's get some two-stroke oil. Right, so I've got some two-stroke oil. I like to use that in the assembly. Some people use assembly fluid, but this does for me. Right, okay, so clean hands. Let's just lay a bit of clean paper underneath there, like that. I like to just run my finger through the small end with some oil in there, and also soak the small end bearing fully in oil, and that will sit in there. I might have to tip this on its side, this engine, because that's going to fall out on it. So if I put that round like that, that'll be better. That way the small end bearing sits in there, you see, for when we put it on the bearing. And all we've got here, again, is just to lubricate where the gudgeon pin goes in, and also lubricate the gudgeon pin itself. This may or may not be tight, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see when we put it on. Right, so let's get one of these little clips. These are quite tricky to put in though, they can be. So stick the long curly end in first, and then just, you have to sort of wind it in, and do ensure they sit in that groove. That one's not fully in yet. There we go, do you hear that click? And you want to hear that, then you rotate it, and it should rotate nice and easy. There we go. So now I know that back one's in. Exhaust faces downwards. Let's get this on now. This can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes these gudgeon pins can be a bit tight and you have to warm them up a little bit or something. But this one has gone in the treat. So now we know we can push that into the stop, you see. Once it stops, we know it's fully in now. And now we've got to get our second one. Ah, there we go. Hear that click? And rotate it. Yeah, that's in the groove. A little pull backwards and forwards just to make sure. Yeah, that rotates lovely in that groove. Right, the piston's back on. Right, okay, we're getting there now. I like to drop a bit of lube over the piston around the rings as well, just to aid it when it goes on. And again, I'm making sure that those pins are located on them dowels, wherever they are. There's one there. Because if they're not located on them dowels, you'll never compress the rings enough to be able to get the barrel on. So plenty of oil is needed. Just let it drop round there, because we don't want it seizing up, do we, when we start it up through lack of oil. Right, that's falling right through there. Again, keep your hands clean as well. Could have gloves on, really. I should have gloves on. I never got them on, though, have I? Right, okay. A little smear of oil around the barrel as well, just to ensure everything's a-okay. I've cleaned this barrel down, as you well know. It's been, because it's been sandblasted, I've blown it all out and everything's fine in there. The exhaust port faces downwards, as you well know, and you've got to sort of compress these rings at the same time. It's worse if you're trying to go into a dry barrel as well, so that's why I say keep it lubricated and don't force anything. There we go. Oh, there we go, look at that. So nice when it slides in. There we go. Oh, look at that. There we go. Oh, that's lovely, look at that. Well lubed up, happy days. Let's get the head gasket now. Is that a one-way thing? Get the head. That goes on that way. There we go. Let's get the 4 bolts on there, do them up, and Bob's your mother's brother. Right, well, I found the 4 10mm nuts that go on the cylinder head. I'm not too sure of the actual torque settings for this. I've had a look online and I can't see them anywhere, and I haven't got a manual, as you well know, so I'm gonna have to guesstimate it. And don't forget, I've spent years putting engines, 2-stroke engines, back together in the 80s, RD250s and fizzes and stuff like that, all 2-stroke stuff. So and I've never once used a torque wrench on any of them. So I'm using my experience to tighten this up. And if anyone does know what the torque settings are for the head bolts for the TGB R50X, do let me know. And we'll check them again afterwards. Right, okay, that's the preliminary tighten up. Now I'll go for the original tighten up. Now they're there, I'd say about there. 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 And there. There we go. I'd like to do one final check. Yep. 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 And yep, I'm happy with it. Right, okay. Nice bit of compression there now. Happy days. Well, that's that. So there you go. That's the head bolted on and the barrel. New piston. Everything's hunky-dory there. I'm happy with that. Right, we've got the reed valve assembly, which is over here. And I don't have a gasket for it, apart from this old one, which is a bit broken now. So what I'm going to do, I've got some gasket paper. I'll draw around this one as best as I can, and then I'll cut it out, and then we'll use that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okie dokie, there's the new gasket I've just made up. It did have a couple of extra holes in it, I noticed on the old one, so I put them in anyway. But they don't sort of do anything on there, as you can see, but there is holes there. But that's the way it was. I've had to take the oil pump back out again because you can't get the full bolt in, so that's the way they go in anyway, like that. So we just drop that into place. I'll drop these 4 screws in. I obviously had everything itemised to a certain extent when I took this thing apart, because I found the 4 screws all together rather than putting them in one big pile, which people have. I've seen people do, but I never do that, you see. So no gasket sealer needed on there, apart from the gasket. Some people go over the top and put extra gasket sealer on. I've got some, but it's not necessary. So I'll just nip these up by hand. Again, not going to. I find if you've got a long lever, you're tempted to sort of lever on them. So I sort of, with little boats going into like aluminium, for example, I'll take a shorter lever and tighten up, so you can't apply as much pressure and over tighten them, you see. That way you're not risking stripping threads. There we go, that's good enough. And put the oil pump back on. Make sure I line the spline up there with the spline in there. See, that's fouling that, you see, so that can't have gone on that way. It must have gone on that way, which is strange. I wouldn't have thought that would have gone on that way, but there you go. Well, I'll bolt it on like that for the moment, and if it's wrong I'll change it, but I'll have to look at my video for that, so I can always come back to that. That's the beauty of filming everything, you see. Right, okay, that's that back on. Right, I've dug out a few more parts now. I've got the Variator here, which I'm in the process of cleaning up at the moment, but if you can look at this, these are the little Variator weights that centrifugally throw themselves out, and I don't know whether you can see, but they're actually very, very sticky. And what you're looking for is for these weights to be round. So if I can just take that out there like that. Can you see it's slightly off shape in this one? So I've got to give this a good clean out now, so these things can actually rotate freely. So again, it's over to the parts washer, and I'll clean that up, and I'll come back to you when I've done that. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, well, I've given these roller weights a bit of a clean, and to be honest with you, there's too many flats on them. I'm not happy with them at all. I don't know whether you can actually see that there. There's a real hefty flat on that one, for example, and they're not in the best of condition. They've got wear marks all around them, so there's a very good chance they won't be rolling correctly in the Variator. And they're actually all like that. So what I'm going to actually do, I'm going to order a new set of Variators, which means that I can't put this bit back together now. We can't get the side casing on, so I'm going to have to end this video here. And I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. You can see I'm feeling my way as I go along. It's just a matter of refamiliarising myself with the parts that I took off 6 years ago. And lucky enough, I did keep them in some sort of order, whereas I'm finding the right parts to go in the right places. The only thing I'm sticking with at the moment, and there's not too much technical specification you need on a little engine like this, is the torque settings, for example, on like the cylinder head that holds the head and the barrel on. But again, I've done these for years, so I'm going by feel at the end of the day. So I don't want to spend another 20 quid on the manual for this, because I took it apart without a manual. And as I say, it's a pretty simple setup anyway. Anyway, don't forget, if you do like my videos, check out my other playlists. There is a playlist for this moped on my channel, and also hit that notification bell down there, set your preferences to all, and that way you get notified every time we upload a video. Check out my Retro Hacks channel. I've just uploaded a little foul video on there if you're interested. It's about a little alcohol stove which I made. Quite funny in a way. I thought I'd leave the foul in just to show you that things do happen sometimes, and we all get a bit of brain fog. I know exactly what I'm doing, but sometimes we forget stuff, or things that overtake us because we've got other things on our mind, and that's what happened in that video. Anyway, thanks very much, folks. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye for now.